Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Well, Ambazonia stands at a critical juncture in its quest for liberation, with each passing day marked by bold defiance against the colonial forces of La République du Cameroon. The air is charged with both resilience and tension as freedom fighters in the embattled former British Southern Cameroons intensifies its resistance. While civilians bear the brunt of a protracted conflict that shows no signs of abating. Across the Midland Zone and beyond, the struggle manifests in a myriad of ways, from fierce military confrontations to poignant calls for justice echoing from the dungeons of colonial prison, as the people of Ambazonia continues to endure the fallout of a war declared upon them 7 years ago. Their spirit remains unyielding. Acts of valor by the Ambazonian State Army demonstrates a relentless commitment to reclaiming sovereignty, while voices of conscience, even from behind bars, challenge the legitimacy of a colonial system sustained through violence and oppression. Yet, amidst the flashes of resistance, an atmosphere of uncertainty hangs heavily over towns like Bamenda, where explosive clashes and military crackdowns underline the perilous conditions faced by ordinary citizens. But this is a land where the cry for self-determination reverberates, despite the deafening silence of the international mediators and the indifference of global powers. Ambazonia's call for liberation is not merely a demand for territorial sovereignty, but an assertion of dignity, justice, and the right to chart their own future. Today's unfolding stories paint a vivid picture of a nation striving to overcome oppression, its struggles, victories, and enduring hopes captured in the lived experiences of its people and the resolute actions of its defenders. Let's get the prime headlines. Well, these are the prime headlines for Undaunted tonight. We see the Ambazonian State Army striking against the colonial forces in Boyi County, as well as violence in Bamenda that ends up leaving one dead. See the cost of the human war, the human cost of the Ambazonian war. Well, from the dungeons of Colonial Kondengui prison, we see Abdulkarim Ali calling for change in the British Southern Cameroons. And on the African scene, Ghana elects John Dramani Mahama as president, with Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang making history as first female vice president. On the global scene, Trump unveils a ambitious agenda for day one and beyond, is what we'll see on the global scene, and that's the prime headlines for Undaunted tonight. Let's get into the full briefings of Undaunted. Well, on Saturday, we see on the November 7th, 2024, this past Saturday recorded a bad day for Ambazonians in Bamenda. the capital city of the Midland Zone, where residents experienced violent clashes that resulted in at least one confirmed death. Residents have faced violence and uncertainty since La Republique declared war on the Federal Republic of Ambazonia over 7 years ago. Well, the morning began with a loud explosion at City Chemist Roundabout, followed by another blast ringing out at Hospital Roundabout. The sound of chaos set many residents scrambling for safety. An unidentified body with gunshot wounds was discovered near Hospital Roundabout. One market vendor, speaking on the condition of anonymity, described the scene saying, "I was just setting up my store." She was just setting up her store when she heard the first explosion with people running everywhere. She recounted how armed individuals entered in Queen Market, firing shots into the air to intimidate traders. The boys, according to her reports, came right to Yaoundé Park in Queen Market, she said. She said before the violence escalated, gunfire had reportedly begun around Banja Street late Friday evening. A video circulating on social media captured armed individuals claiming to be Ambazonian defense fighters, in their words, showcasing weapons they allege to have taken from the colonial forces during previous conflict. Well, in response to the unrest, a heavy military presence was deployed throughout the city by the colonial government of La Republique. Soldiers were seen at major intersections, but local authorities have yet to issue any statement regarding this latest incident. Yet many residents feel neglected. Well, when it comes to the war, it is no news to see and hear of these rampant commotions, this rampant state of violence. Well, we have with us in the studio Barrister Ambazonia to help us go through this particular report. Barrister Ambazonia, are you here? Good evening. Yes, so looking at this particular report, we get to see, we don't know if it's a state of the pseudo-liberation fighters, the ADF, and the cohorts, La Republique colonial forces, taking advantage of the war and trying to play a fast one, because you see that these same people who claim to be the Ambazonian defense forces are terrorizing the population, and then they still claim to be getting weapons from La Republique, to have harvested weapons from La Republique. No genuine liberation fighter would harvest weapons from La Republique only to use those same weapons to terrorize their own people for no reason. So it is a good thing that they straight up claimed they were the ones responsible for this particular incident. But then the whole show of saying they harvested weapons from La Republique to turn around and use the same weapons to terrorize the Ambazonian population. What does this entire drama depict for you? nation like the Southern Cameroons, the idea or the statement by the colonial administration and its cohorts saying there is normalcy can only be seen as propaganda or an outright lie. But then we see that with the war comes arbitrary arrest, amongst a whole lot of other things. The arbitrary arrest is something we'd like to focus on, looking at the case of Abdulkarim Ali, a prisoner of conscience who is currently detained at the Kondengui prison, yes, the Kondengui prison in Yaoundé capital, the city of the Colonial La République, who has shared insight on the troubling situation in southern Cameroon since 2018. The territory has been marked by instability and a heavy colonial military presence, which has had many view that their circumstances as a military occupation rather than genuine governance. Well, Abdul Karim in his write-up, the pro-Ambazonian describes southern Cameroons as increasingly ungovernable, where local officials must travel in armored vehicles for protection, and colonial police and military forces patrol the streets in masks and bulletproof vests, creating an atmosphere of fear. So much for talking about normalcy amidst all of this. Well, daily activities have become challenging with colonial military oversight affecting even simple social gatherings. Well, we see that Abdul Karim references Nelson Mandela's assertion that military occupation is a form of foreign domination which can be just as oppressive as colonialism. He cited Nelson Mandela's assertion that military occupation is a form of foreign dominance which can be just as oppressive as colonialism or apartheid. While many in southern Cameroon have resonated with this, as citizens feel trapped under a regime that clearly prioritizes military control over democratic processes. Abdul Karim also points out the alarming humanitarian situation in his text, stating how civilians face abductions, torture, and trials in military courts. Reports from families reveal the fear that grips the community, as many have lost loved ones to arbitrary detentions and unfair judgment. Ali proposed that to restore stability in southern Cameroon, addressing the root cause of the war through dialogue and negotiation is essentially the paramount, and emphasizes the need for a neutral third-party country to facilitate discussions that reflect the aspiration of the peoples of Ambazonia. Meanwhile, the response from the international community has been lacking. Organizations such as the African Union and the United Nations have faced criticism for their inaction with regards to this ongoing war, while Western governments often prioritize their interest over the human rights of the people, especially in southern Cameroon. While concluding, Abdul Karim asserts that the people of southern Cameroon deserve justice, peace, and the right to self-determination, and insists that a negotiated settlement is vital for achieving these goals. Ali's call to change was penned down from behind the colonial bars on December 7th, 2024. Well, we see that not only has Abdul Karim been the first person or second for the obtain time somebody has called for La République to, instead of focusing on military empowerment, focusing on more military artilleries and all of that, to bring the matter to the mediation table, for that is where true justice and a final resolution to the ongoing war can come out of. But La République, not for the first time or second time, have again decided not to heed this calls, not to heed this advice. And in as much as we know why they're doing this, Barrister Mbesi, I would like to ask, what would you say, looking at the fact that right now, on Saturday, we brought the topic of the ICC, the case which you and Barrister Fru and all the legal minds had to pen down with evidences to the ICC way back in 2020. And now, we looked back again at the response of the ICC in 2021, and we're looking at that being a possible fruitful step towards resolving or getting closer to the end of this ongoing struggle with a much more desired outcome. What would you say about the current situation vis-a-vis all of this?
They were not even Cameroonians. In fact, they were not even Africans. And so they have records of this. Are they acting? I think. Are they acting as fast as we want? I doubt. But again, back to the ICC. The ICC were told, like we're told, that they are opening, or they've opened investigations. Did that go the way we wanted? Of course not. We wanted it to go immediately. The problem is that by the time that they ever finish investigations, if one were to be prosecuted, some of the victims might have died. We don't know how long, for example, Abdulkarim will be there before the investigation goes to it will be many years, and maybe never even in his lifetime. But that's how the system is set up. The system of genocide, war crimes, is very, very slow. And it is because they have a large workload. And it is also because in their text, they say crimes against humanity, war crimes, genocide are imprescriptible. In other words, once you commit them, they're on you until you die. So even if you escape, you know that even 20 years they can still prosecute you. Even 10 years they can still prosecute you. But that is good, but it doesn't bring justice to the victims. We wish to have it go faster so that the victims can be vindicated, so that Ambazonians can have something to show. But it is not going our way. But nonetheless, we hope it is going on. And so we feel bad, particularly bad for Abdulkarim, who is there. Nobody sentenced him to anything. Nobody has even charged him for anything other than keeping him. It's unjust. It's illegal. We feel very bad for what is going on in Ambazonia. We wish our own had gone as fast as Ukraine or the Gaza and Palestine and Israel. But better late than never. The wars of Yaoundé as a regime are crumbling. And sooner or later we'll be out of that nonsense. Over to you.
Well, Barrister Bessia, that is very well said, very well said. Well, while Ambazonians are looking forward to their liberation, where they're looking forward to the international community to step in to do something about the ongoing war of liberation and bring justice as is needed. We see that the ASA, the Ambazonian State Army, continues to defend the home front, the territory of Ambazonia. We see that in the ongoing fight for freedom from La Republique to Cameroon's colonial occupation, Ambazonia's resolve has remained unshaken. The Ambazonian people continue to resist the genocidal regime of Paul Biya with unmatched courage and determination. The recent events in Boyi County are a testament to the unrelenting efforts of Ambazonian forces in reclaiming their land and asserting their right to self-determination. On December 2024, 7th of December 2024, the Ambazonian State Army, under the command of General Wanyo, achieved a significant victory in Boyi County. The battalion successfully destroyed 2 trucks belonging to the forces of occupation from La Republique. The operation dealt a devastating blow on the enemy, sending an uncountable number of their personnel. Well, this decisive action is yet another example of Ambazonia's commitment to eliminating colonial oppression and asserting its sovereignty. Well, let's take a look at this video from the Boyi County Situation Room.
The 7th of December. Today, the 7th of December. Consider La Republique them again. And I see them now. A general life. Shake in all day. Shake in all day. I don't bump them. I don't scatter them. Second target. General life. Shake in all day. I see second target. And I see second target.
Well, Well, General Wanyo's leadership and the unwavering bravery of the Buyi County Battalion are a source of hope for Ambazonians. The Ambazonian State Army have once again proven that the dream of a free and independent Ambazonia is not just a possibility, but an inevitability. Well, as always, the Ambazonian State Army are calling on not just supporters of the struggle, but those military personnel from the colonial regime sent by the colonial administration to surrender their weapons, and they'll be given a safe passage because they're fighting a war that they have nothing to gain from, basically. And then they are calling on all supporters and freedom fighters, supporters of justice and peace, to support the Ambazonian struggle for liberation from colonial occupation. Well, as Ambazonia reflects on the remarkable victory, the message from the Ambazonian State Army is clear that the struggle for liberation and the struggle for independence is far from over, but every step taken brings the nation closer to its goal. The colonial occupation of Ambazonia will not stand against the determined resistance of its people. Buyi County's success is a reminder that freedom is within reach. Sacrifices made will pave the way for a brighter tomorrow. Well, Barrister Basie, I would like to hear your thoughts on this as quickly as possible, and then we'll head on to the African report.
Well, if there's nothing we can talk about as far as Buyi is concerned, we'll just be a reminder that Wilbur is a man from Buyi. You are reminded the colonial government on the floor of assembly in Yaoundé in 2016-2017 that the Buyi people are warriors who don't cave in. They fight to the end, and they have proven that. If Yaoundé has anything to keep in his record books of history, they realize that they made the saddest mistakes in their lives, ever to invade Ambazonia, which includes Buyi. If all other people get tired, Buyi will not get tired. The final liberation of Ambazonia might very well depend on Buyi, and it is. We have reminded them that when the war starts, you can bring all what you have from France and everything and combine. You will not defeat the people of Ambazonia. He didn't say the people of Buyi, he said they will not defeat the people of Ambazonia. But he reminded them that it's from Buyi, the fighting war area. And they have fought, and they continue to fight. I think some of us might have forgot that just last week or a week before last, the Buyi people were supposed to hold something called Ngangso, organized from Yaoundé, a cultural festival, where they were supposed to import their farm from there. What escaped? Well, the Buyi warriors told them, no Ngangso here. He will not come. He will come over our dead bodies. And they stopped. That was the thing being led by the government of Yaoundé. They stopped. And so we can only say congratulations to Buyi, and a reminder to the Republic of Cameroon that no matter what army you bring to fight Ambazonia, as long as Buyi remains part of Ambazonia, you will not win. You will not win. The losses are palpable, the economic consequences are great, and the morale of your own army is so weak, very low morale. So bravo to the Buyi fighters, bravo to the Buyi warriors, bravo to the ASAs of Buyis. Would only do our hearts to you to continue the fight till we get to the end. Yeah. You are going to have your final credit. You have your whatever awards you have will be put on. I reserve for you. You have a high place in Buyi in the nearest future. Keep on fighting, fight, and count on our support in any form or shape. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Barrister Basie. As always, it was a delight, enlightening, informative, educative having you on the program tonight. We do appreciate your
Thank,
presence, and we hope to have you even more often on Undaunted. But with this, we'll say good night to you and thank you for your wonderful contributions on the show.
thank you very much.
Well, Well, news around Africa, we see that in Ghana, the 2024 presidential election, its former president John Dramani Mahama emerged victorious, marking his return to office after a highly competitive race. His main opponent, Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia of the ruling New Patriotic Party, the NPP, conceded defeat, acknowledging the people's call for change. Bawumia's decision to concede came ahead of the official announcement by the Electoral Commission, emphasizing his commitment to peace and a smooth transition of power. He publicly congratulated Mahama and reassured the public that the NPP would ensure a seamless transfer of authority despite the disappointment felt by his supporters. Well, the election was widely seen as a referendum on the economic performance of the NPP-led government, which had struggled with inflation, rise in living costs, and fiscal challenges. Mahama, having previously served as president from 2012 to 2016, campaigned on promises of economic recovery and a more inclusive governance approach. His victory came with a significant margin, with Mahama securing 52.2% of the vote, compared to Bawumia's 41.4%. Well, a particularly historic development from this election was the election of Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang, who is Ghana's first female vice president-elect, and running alongside Mahama. Opoku Agyemang's win under the NDC banner was hailed as a groundbreaking achievement for gender representation in Ghanaian politics. Her election reflects the growing calls for increased female participation in political leadership and is expected to inspire future generations of women in Ghana and across Africa. With the final results still pending, Bawumia's concession was a crucial step in ensuring a peaceful post-election atmosphere. And in his remarks, he urged his party supporters to accept the results and remain hopeful for the future. Even as he promised to regroup and come back stronger, Bawumia's emphasis on Ghana's unity over individual political ambitions underscored the importance of democratic stability in the country. Well, as Ghanaians prepare for the swearing-in of Mahama as the nation's next president, this election marks a key moment in the country's political evolution. The peaceful transition of power, coupled with the election of a female vice president, indeed illustrates the strength of Ghana's democracy and its capacity to adapt to the aspirations of its people. Well, with that, we head on to the news across the globe. Oh, well, in an exclusive interview, we see President-elect Donald Trump outlining his bold vision for the first day of his presidency and the days that follow. Trump, known for his unconventional approach to politics, has pledged to hit the ground running, tackling some of the nation's most pressing issues from the outset. Well, at the top of Trump's agenda for day one is the repeal and replacement of the Affordable Care Act. also known as Obamacare. Well, this move is likely to send shockwaves through the healthcare industry and spark intense debate in Congress.
If you
Also on
look at
Trump's day one to-do
just
list,
pre-COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And I had a lot of tariffs on a lot of different countries, but in particular China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we had no inflation. In fact, when I handed it over, they didn't have inflation for a year and a half. They went almost 2 years just based on what I had created. And then they created inflation with energy and with spending too much. So I think I'm a big believer in tariffs. I think tariffs are the most beautiful word. I think they're beautiful. It's going to make us rich. We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. We're subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let it become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world. And all I want to do is I want to have a level, fast, but fair playing field. They cost Americans nothing. They made a great economy for us. They also solve another problem. If we were going to have problems having to do with wars and having to do with other things, tariffs, I have stopped wars with tariffs by saying, you guys want to fight, it's great, but both of you are going to pay tariffs to the United States at 100%. And they have many purposes, tariffs, if properly used. I don't say you use them like a madman. I say properly used. But it didn't cost this country anything. It made this country money. And we never really got the chance to go all out because we had to fight COVID in the last part. And we did it very successfully. And when I handed it over to Biden, the stock market was higher than what it was just previous to COVID coming in. It was actually higher. Tariffs are properly used, are a very powerful tool, not only economically, but also for getting other things outside of economics. You know, the people that have been treated very unfairly are the people that have been online for 10 years to come into the country. And we're going to make it very easy for people to come in terms of they have to pass the test. They have to be able to tell you what the Statue of Liberty is. They have to tell you a little bit about our country. They have to love our country. They can't come out of prisons. We don't want people that are in for murder. So we had 11,000 and 13,000 different estimates, 13,099 murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets. They're walking next to you and your family, and they're very dangerous.
The 13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't. No,
that
it's within the 3-year period.
figure.
It's during the Biden term. No, that was a fiction that they put that out. This was done by the Border Patrol. It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time. And these are murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. You don't want those people in this country.
But you're
Well, we see that in the days leading up to Trump's inauguration, he doesn't just plan to stop his ambitions there. He plans to introduce a comprehensive tax reform package, that is designed to simplify the tax code and reduce the burden on American businesses and families. While the president-elect intends to make a major push on immigration reform, as he has been re-echoing, including the construction of a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border and the implementation of stricter border security affairs. While Trump's agenda is undoubtedly ambitious, it remains to be seen how much of it he will be able to accomplish, particularly given the likely opposition from Democrats in Congress. Well, one thing is certain, however, the Trump presidency is shaping up to be one of the most unconventional and unpredictable in recent history. Well, away from Donald Trump and the United States, to take a look at India and Bangladesh. Indians plan to boost mobile internet connectivity in the northeastern states has hit a roadblock, where Bangladesh interim government has cancelled the bandwidth transit agreement that would have allowed India to use Bangladesh as a transit point for supplying bandwidth to the northeastern states. The cancellation is reportedly due to concerns that the agreement could undermine Bangladesh's potential to become a regional internet hub. This move is likely to impact India's plan to improve digital connectivity in the region. Well, to overcome the setback, India could explore alternative routes for improving connectivity in its northeastern states, which might involve negotiating with other neighboring countries or investing in infrastructure development within the region. The Indian government has been keen to improve connectivity in the northeastern states, which have long been plagued by poor internet connectivity. The region's geography, with its rugged terrains and limited infrastructure, has made it challenging to establish reliable internet connectivity. Well, in recent years, the Indian government has launched several initiatives aimed at improving digital connectivity in the northeastern states. These initiatives have included investments in infrastructure development, such as the construction of new fiber optic cables and the upgrading of existing mobile networks. Well, despite these efforts, the region continues to face significant challenges in terms of digital connectivity. The cancellation of the bandwidth transit agreement with Bangladesh is likely to further exacerbate these challenges. But in the long run, India may need to rethink its strategy for improving digital connectivity in the northeastern states. This might involve exploring new technologies such as satellite internet, or investing in the development of local infrastructure such as data centers and server farms. Well, with that, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. Coming up next will be the recap. Well, Undaunted tonight, we saw the Ambazonian State Army striking colonial forces, as well as violence in Bamenda, leaving one dead amidst the ongoing war received from the dungeons of Colonial Kondengui prison as well. Abdulkarim Ali calling for change in the British Southern Cameroons. And on the African scene, Ghana elects John Dramani Mahama as president, with Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang making history as first female vice president. And on the global scene, we see Trump unveiling his ambitious agenda for day one and beyond. Well, with that, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. On behalf of my Kawako and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in. We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless.